When you're 17, you think you've got the world figured out. At least that's what I thought until one night changed how I see everything. I wasn't some reckless kid, but I also wasn't overly cautious. Looking back, I wish I'd been a little more careful. It was mid-November and my high school had just finished its annual fall play. I wasn't in the cast or anything. I was part of the stage crew, handling lights. The final night of the play ended late, way later than I'd expected. By the time I packed up my gear, it was already 10:15 p.m., and the school was practically deserted. I texted my mom to pick me up, but she replied with, "Stuck at work, take an Uber or the bus." My dad was out of town, and my older sister Jenna was at her college 2 hours away. It wasn't the first time I'd been left to figure things out on my own, so I sighed, checked my bus app, and saw that the last bus of the night was scheduled for 10:30. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and jogged out to the main road. The air was cold, and I remember how still everything felt. Most of the shops were closed, and the streetlights buzzed faintly. It was the kind of quiet that makes your footsteps sound unnaturally loud. The bus stop was a small shelter with a bench, and as I got closer, I noticed a man sitting there. He looked normal, I guess. Mid-30s, wearing a navy jacket, jeans, and a baseball cap. He had a duffel bag at his feet, and he was scrolling through his phone. "Evening," he said without looking up as I approached. "Hey," I replied, standing a few feet away. I didn't sit. Something about him put me on edge, but I couldn't pinpoint what. Maybe it was just the fact that it was so late, and we were the only two people around. The minutes ticked by, and I kept checking my phone for the bus tracker. It showed the bus was running late. Great. The man must have noticed me fidgeting because he chuckled and said, "First time taking the late bus?" I shook my head. "No, just, it's cold, you know?" He nodded and zipped up his jacket. "Yeah, nights like this, you never know what could happen. Always gotta keep your guard up." I forced a laugh, even though his comment made my stomach tighten. Why say something like that? I glanced down the road, hoping to see the bus headlights, but the street was empty. "Where are you headed?" he asked after a moment. I hesitated. "Just home," I said vaguely. "You?" "Visiting family," he said, gesturing to his duffel bag. "Long trip ahead." I nodded, keeping my answers short. Something about his tone felt wrong. Not threatening exactly, but off. I kept telling myself I was overthinking it. People make small talk at bus stops all the time, right? But then he asked, "You live around here?" That question stopped me cold. Why did he need to know that? "Yeah, not far," I lied. I didn't want him knowing I lived a 20-minute walk away. He nodded again, his gaze lingering on me a second too long. "Good, it's not safe to walk alone at night." My heart started racing. The way he said it wasn't like advice, it was like a warning. The bus tracker refreshed on my phone, showing the bus was delayed by another 10 minutes. I debated leaving and walking home, but I knew that stretch of road was mostly dark, with long gaps between streetlights. Besides, what if he followed me? Another few minutes passed in tense silence. Then I heard a car engine. My relief was short-lived when a black SUV pulled up to the curb near the bus stop. The driver rolled down the window, a younger guy, maybe in his 20s, wearing a hoodie. "Yo, need a ride?" he called out, looking directly at me. I shook my head. "No, I'm good, waiting for the bus." The guy smirked. "Bus ain't coming anytime soon. Roads are messed up tonight. Hop in, I'll take you wherever you need to go." "Thanks, but I'm fine," I said firmly. The man on the bench spoke up then. "You sure about that, kid? He's offering you a lift. Could save you some time." I glanced at him, confused. Why was he encouraging this? I looked back at the driver, who was still watching me, his smirk never fading. "I'm fine," I repeated, louder this time. The driver muttered something under his breath, rolled up the window and sped off. My chest loosened slightly, but then I noticed the man on the bench staring at me, his expression unreadable. "You made the right call," he said finally. "That guy didn't seem right." I didn't respond. My instincts were screaming at me to leave, but the thought of walking home still felt risky. I decided to call my sister. Even if she couldn't do anything, hearing her voice might calm me down. I dialed her number and waited. The phone rang twice before she picked up. "Hey, Luke, what's up?" "Hey, nothing much," I said, trying to sound casual. "Just waiting for the bus." "At this hour? You okay?" she asked, her tone immediately concerned. Yeah, just late getting out of school." I turned away from the man, lowering my voice. There's this guy here though, and he's kinda creeping me out. Jenna didn't hesitate. Leave, right now, walk to a gas station or something, anywhere with people. I was about to reply when I noticed the man had stood up. He was watching me, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder. "You okay there?" he asked, his voice calm, almost too calm. I nodded quickly. "Yeah, just calling someone to pick me up." "Good idea," he said, stepping closer. "Luke?" Jenna's voice came through the phone, but I didn't answer. My grip tightened on the phone as I backed away from the bus stop. The man stopped walking, his expression unreadable. That's when the bus finally appeared, its headlights cutting through the darkness. I nearly cried with relief. The driver pulled up and the doors hissed open. Without looking back, I climbed on and sat near the front. As the bus pulled away, I glanced out the window. The man was still standing there, watching me, his face partially hidden in the shadows. And then, just before he disappeared from view, he smiled, a slow, deliberate smile that made my skin crawl. I don't know what his deal was, and I don't want to know. All I know is that I never waited alone for a bus again.